Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am making a minor adjustment that I couldn't make earlier preset, but here we go. We're good now. Hold on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This is Fadi Gwanny on Live Talks Live. And today we are talking about fear. One of the most powerful words that change and shift the whole world. In and out, day in, day out, fear controls almost everything in the world we live in. Fear takes us down to pieces. So today we're talking about fear. And fear specifically, there's tons of fears and the ways they affect our future and lives and day-to-day life. But today we're going to talk about fear of the future. Very simple. What happens when we fear the future? Stick around with me the next 7 minutes. All we're going to talk about is how delusional fearing the future is, how ridiculous fearing the future is, and how to overcome it once it hits us. Stick around with me. So this is what I really want to get you started with. Fear, big illusion. You are imagining things that haven't happened. We're talking about the future, am I right? Something that hasn't happened. When you fear the future, you're fearing something that might or might not happen. There is no way this will serve you. There is no possible way you can actually think clear about things you like, prefer, or not, situations you'd like to see yourself in or not, when you're in a state of fear. When you're in a state of fear, your entire physiology changes, right? Your immune system shuts down, digestive system shuts down, everything in your body shuts down, especially the intelligent side of your brain. It shuts down. Fear does not serve you. Fear tunnels you down to a big delusional world that it creates for you but doesn't exist. Imagine this, you're fearing the future. Let's pick up on some topics that you might actually fear the future in. You're afraid to lose your job, you're afraid to get into debt, you're afraid things that would mess up. Let's keep it simple. You're afraid things would mess up. They would mess up if you're in a negative state. If you're in a negative state and you're not thinking clear, you're gonna mess things up. So you need to think about it here for a second. If you're in a place where you're anxious, you're angry, you're afraid, bear in mind that fear is the source of anger, hatred, insecurity. Fear roots everything out. It cannot possibly serve you, right? But however, you can plan things. If you see something that might inconvenience you, you might perceive as danger, you might perceive as something that's going to set you back, sit down and plan something out. Fear is not going to serve you. So the first thing you need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is recognize fear. If you're in a state of fear, you're trembling, your body is shaking towards something, just a mere thought of something, stop. Stop and think about it for a second. Understand that that situation that your mind created is not preferable. But there are great chances it's not going to happen. You're not a fortune teller. There are great chances. How many times did you fear, for example, hitting traffic, not making it on time? And I'm talking about the big future things. I'm talking about the little things. Getting up in the morning, preparing for a meeting. You're so scared things would mess up that you walk in with that negative charge, and guess what you cause? Guess what you do? You can't fear something that hasn't happened. If you're in a calm place, put a plan. Or take things as they come. Chances are you can deal with anything on God's given earth as it happens. But you cannot solve something that hasn't happened yet. Do you understand the idea? For example, the concept of a problem. Illusion. Complete illusion. Imagine you have a problem in the future. All of us imagine those. And your mind wants you to solve it now. Physically impossible, isn't it? Chances are, if it happens, when and where it happens, you're going to have the presence of mind, the calmness, the positive state of energy to resolve it on the spot as it happens. If you can plan a few steps to prevent it, fantastic. Otherwise, don't jump ahead. You are fearing, and when you fear, you're giving that horrible vibe out. When you give that horrible vibe out, chances are you're going to attract it. You're going to start taking steps towards something that probably didn't happen. When somebody's stressed about something in the future, they come tell me about it. But this has high chances of happening. I'm like, but probably it won't. You imagine a situation, you imagine something that hasn't happened yet. What if it doesn't happen? Do you want to make sure that you just pile yourself with all these negative emotions just in case it doesn't happen? So technically, if you don't go through that chaos, you don't want to pass it without having negative emotions. So stress about it now. Get that negative load on. Enjoy freaking out. Just in case it doesn't happen, it goes for a clean ride. Most of the things we worried about in the future didn't happen. Think about it. Go back in time. You worried about this and that, getting into university, getting a job. You worried about leaving your job. You're worried about working towards something, or whatever it is. How many times did we worry about things, really messed up our day, and it didn't happen? And I'm not talking about day. When it's quite distant, you talk about day, week, month. You're living in fear of something happening. You're losing things. And actually, the most horrible things that people make decisions based on their fears. I'm afraid I'd lose my job. So instantly they start seeking other jobs. Forget of whether or not it's just as crappy. They're just going to go for another job. And all of a sudden, their boss picks up that they're looking for another job and fires them. The decisions they made based on the fears they're experiencing now leads to the one thing they're afraid of. Think about it. Ladies and gentlemen, fear is an illusion. It doesn't exist. However, should you come across it, and it's very natural to come across it, how you deal with the fear is what makes you become stronger, smarter, live a much more higher self-life. You come across fear, recognize it. You need to look inside yourself most of the time. What am I feeling all this for? So number one, recognize it. Number two, understand, even though if you don't feel it, it's an illusion. Didn't happen, chances are it won't happen, and you need to be in a positive place to figure out how to avoid anything that might happen that would inconvenience you. So first thing, recognize it. Second thing, understand it's an illusion. Third thing, abandon the illusion. Fourth thing, if it needs a little planning, put a plan down. But between the steps, don't think about it. Don't get into that delusional world where you're just imagining what if it's still gonna happen. You're gonna panic and make wrong decisions. So first, again, just let me revise it one more time. I really want this to sink in. Recognize fear when it comes across. Understand it. Understand that's an illusion. Calm yourself down. Nothing happened. Plan something if you need to plan it. If there are no plannings for it, it may or may not happen by chance. Prepare to accept it if it were to happen. And move on. And understand there are great chances it might never happen. I'm talking very broadly. But I'm sure every single one of us can connect with this on a certain level. Thank you for following up with us today. This is Fadi Gwanny on Life Talks Live. If you want to send us any messages, go ahead and post it on the video. Send us a message on lifetalkslive.com or the fan page of which this video is produced in. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you again next week.